Here are some of the things that could potentially pull you into training. It's not a completely 100% list, but it's got kind of the more common things. Again, the main theme is you're doing something that could cause issues if you do it incorrectly, right? So for instance, maybe it's your job to classify or name the material. Now, that process is actually a very technical step. When we talk about classification, we're talking about figuring out what is hazardous about it, whether it's a flammable liquid, whether it is corrosive, poisonous, explosive. To know how to look those definitions up in the regs, very technical skill set. And same thing with selecting a proper shipping name. For anyone that selects a proper shipping name, you have to take it from something called the Hazmat table. The Hazmat table is very long. It's over 3,000 proper shipping names, and it'd be someone's job within your company to select a name from that table. So it's, again, a very technical step that requires an expertise in that. And these are very important steps because everything builds off of that. Like, for instance, if you selected the wrong proper shipping name, you might end up using the wrong kind of packaging because the name would actually tell you what kind of packaging you're allowed to use. It will also affect your communication in later steps. So that's really the starting point, and if you start off on the wrong foot, all the rest of the steps that you do to help prepare the shipment are going to be done incorrectly. Maybe it's your job to select packaging. I kind of mentioned this earlier with that box example. Not all boxes are created equal, right? Some boxes have to go through rigorous testing standards, things like a drop test. They'll put like a weight test where they put certain weight on top of it. They'll bounce it around over and over again like it's hitting a speed bump. And once it passes all those tests, they'll certify it. We call this UN spec packaging. Well, if you've never been trained on packaging, you may not know, oh, I have to select that kind of packaging. So if it's your job to pick packaging, well, you would need to get trained on it, because if you don't get trained on it, well, you might use the wrong kind of box. And for anyone that just generally packages them, maybe your employer gives you some bottles in a box to put together. Well, if I don't screw the lid on correctly, that inner bottle could leak during transportation. Obviously, that's unsafe, right? That makes it unsafe if something's leaking while it's going down the road. So, of course, those types of people have to go through hazmat training. Maybe it's your job to communicate something. When I talk about communication, I'm talking about marks and labels. So like the things that go in your boxes and your drums. I'm also talking about your documentation, right? Fill out shipping paperwork. Well, if you put the wrong info on your package markings and on your shipping documentation, not only just to tell the wrong info to your truck driver, but let's say something goes wrong with that shipment, the emergency responders get to the scene of the accident, they think they're doing one thing based on what you put on there. It's actually something else. Well, they might do the wrong kind of response, and that could lead to property damage, that can lead to more injuries, among other things. Another type of communication would be placards. Those are the big old diamonds that go on the outside of vehicles. Or maybe it's your job to read and interpret regulations. If you need to know that skill set, you want to go through training. So as you can see, there's a lot of different things that could potentially pull you into the need for hazmat training. But what it really comes down to is if you do this thing incorrectly and it makes it unsafe during transport, well, you need to get trained so that you do that thing correctly. I want to be clear about this. Sometimes people wonder, like, is this only for full-time employees? It is not. It is also for anyone that could directly affect transportation safety, right? So that could be part-time employees, it could be temp employees, it could even people that are self-employed. Maybe you just have a business of one, right? You're the boss and you're the only one that works there. Well, if you're preparing hazmat shipments, you still need to get trained on that, right? Because you still need to properly know how to ship hazmat.